The next topic in our tutorials is classes, and classes is about different objects that are going to be created or constructed using this class. So as you know, Python is an object-oriented programming language, and almost everything in Python is an object. And classes are the blueprint for creating the objects. So I'm going to create a new file, call it class, and in there I'm going to explain what exactly a class is. So class.py. So imagine that you want to write the program related to a game. So for example, it's about a football game, and there are a number of players who are the objects, and there are certain actions that they're going to do. And any player can do certain skills as certain items, and they may not be able to do certain task or certain skills. So for example, player 1, who is the goalkeeper, or I can say player 1 instead of the goalkeeper, whose name is, for example, for example, Khan, who is a German goalkeeper, was a German goalkeeper. Or I can write his first name, Oliver. And then, for example, he wants to save a ball. So player 1, we use a method called save. But before that, that save was not declared. How do we declare this kind of action? We do it through the classes. So inside the classes, we have certain objects, and we have certain actions, certain functions that we are going to define inside of the classes. And generally, using the classes will help you be much faster, operate much faster, and create the kind of world that you like. So inside the world that you are in, there are certain different objects, and for example, there are people, and they do certain stuff. So, and they also have certain features and properties. So you want to assign a kind of property which is true or false for them, and you want to also see what happens if they do a certain action. Or you want that at a specific time, when, for example, a player see the ball coming to him, he has to pass the ball to another player. So in these circumstances, we use player 1.pass, or the player is in front of the goal, and he wants to score a goal. So player 1.shoot. So he shoots the ball to the net, and according to the probability or chance or the skill of the player, the ball will become a goal. So, but classes can be used in many different situations, and most of the time the advanced programmers use the classes. Not only the advanced players, also the advanced programmers, also the newbie developers also use classes. And it's using the classes you can create a much better program and a much better game. So for example, if you have a very, very complex project and you want to create a kind of a software, or you want to create, for example, a kind of an operating system software, then you have to use the classes, because if you don't do that, your program becomes very, very, very long, and you have to do certain items over and over again with a lot of codes, just the same as functions. But you might say, what is the difference between classes and the functions? And the difference is that the class is a kind of a connector of the objects to the certain actions or certain functions. And classes are kind of constructors of the objects. And using the classes, you can create a kind of a world or a kind of a sub-world, something. Or for example, I can write class player, and inside of that I can define certain functions. For example, function 1, function actually def passing or pass. So if I define or declare this function here in this class, so for example, we have the goalkeeper. So outside of this class, for example, you define the goalkeeper, and then you say the goalkeeper, which is inside this class, dot pass, and the player will, as a result, will pass the ball. You can also define certain objects inside of this class. So there are a lot of things we're going to do inside of the class, and maybe the explanations that I have given you up to now does not give you a very complete insight about the class. But as we go on with this, with the examples of this tutorial, you will little by little understand what classes are. But notice that classes can get very much complicated. There are a lot of things that you can put inside of the classes, and they can appear in different kinds of forms. So it takes a lot of practice to get used to the classes, because there are a lot of circumstances in which you have to know, but the basics of classes are the same. You might have heard about the concepts like inheritance, the methods, the objects, and so on, or the instances. All of these are going to be covered in this classes tutorials. However, there are some advanced concepts and some advanced examples. For example, you might understand the meaning of inheritance, but until you haven't faced a very advanced example, you will not become totally experienced in it. And one of the very important skills in programming languages is learning how to work with Python that program OOP, which is object-oriented programming, and in Python we have Python OOP, which is object-oriented programming in Python, and that is related to how to use classes, objects, methods, inheritance, and so on.